near-death experiences. She puts it on her resume.
Ah, here she comes, walking down the street. She gets plenty of looks from every boy she meets. Yeah, I'm not singing good, guys, so don't expect me to be singing. Hey, there she is.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You look exactly like you did like last week or whatever when you were on Cameron's show.
That was over a month ago, I think.
Okay, well, time doesn't exist, so.
That's a good
That
point.
was in April. I was on it now. It's actually a pretty good show.
I'm actually correct because time does not exist. Hey, listen, the pictures you sent me, which was only a couple, the resolution is too small. I can't copy them, so we don't really need them.
Okay.
Or do we? There was only two pictures I found.
What happens? It gets on the phone and they shrink the resolution way down to a little tiny box for a phone.
It won't.
I have the book.
Okay, you can just hold that up if you want.
I can hold that up. Yeah, but the other one is on my.
It doesn't matter. It's just a picture of a Sasquatch and a person. It's not
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You hold the book up and we'll hold the show up.
Is that good?
Yeah, who's that guy?
No, it's a woman. It's the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull.
Oh.
They did a forensic reconstruction.
Okay.
And this was her. It's a woman.
How sweet.
I am woman, hear me roar. Your number's too big to ignore. I can't belt it out right now. I don't have because of my heart attack.
You have a good voice.
Because of my heart attack or near heart attack or whatever it was, I don't have it's taken me a while to get my voice back.
Wow. I don't doubt that either.
Well, yeah. We're gonna start doing some shows on YouTube too. I think we're gonna try the next show on YouTube, but we're gonna just go on Facebook with you.
There's a way that you can go on both Facebook and YouTube. I don't know.
There is?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know.
Because I can't figure it out.
There's a lot of people do that.
They do?
Yes,
Yeah.
they have both. Yes.
How do you at the same time going live?
Yeah.
No, you download your first one and put it on YouTube.
Well, that's what I do anyway. But I was talking about, I thought beans meant you can do them both simultaneously.
You can. They have this like program that I think you can rent it for something $20 a month or $10 a month, and it'll take your live show to like 100 different sites.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have an idea. You sent me some stuff you want to talk about. You know what it is, right? Because I'm not going to put up I'm not going to read what you sent me. So we'll just discuss. We'll just go with it.
Right. Well, I thought I would read some of it because if you look in the Bible, and I'm using the Nelson Study Bible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you want to share.
Okay. And then
we want to get into your shady past and all that stuff too.
My shady past. What does that mean?
He's being silly. He's being silly. He wants to talk about your spiritually transformative events.
Oh, okay.
That kind of
So you
stuff.
want me to talk about how I met the first Sasquatch or encountered a Sasquatch?
Yeah. And also
UFOs. You flew in a UFO, and I don't know.
I flew in UFO. Yes.
And
we want to hear that. We want to hear that too.
Anyway, people and your friends.
Just bring up what you want me to discuss.
You've heard the show. We're good at posing the questions.
Many of them.
Hey, yes. I gotta start the show. Okay, so just let me.
It's 101. We got to run.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I was really enjoying your show with Grant Cameron. I wanted to get on. I've been poking Grant Cameron for like a while to try to get more Sasquatch thing on because there's this connection between the Sasquatch people and the Star people, you know?
Of course. And God made Sasquatch.
And God made the Star people too. It's all one thing.
Exactly. Well, some people don't see the connection.
Hey, why don't you tell them, hey, I know some people that would be perfect for your show.
Hey, I like your couch. What's the images of that Crimshaw? Is that flowers or something?
What are you?
Your couch.
Oh, the couch.
Yeah, what's the pattern on there?
Okay, you mean the beige one, right?
Yeah, the beige one. Yeah.
It's got flowers and plaid. It's a plaid background that's very subtle with big flowers.
But seriously, though, Gene,
I used to have one the same color. It's Crimshaw, right? That's where the flowers are like raised, right? Because it's not just a pattern. It has a texture to it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to start in a second, but actually, Gene, I was serious. Could you reach out to him and tell him we'd like to?
Sure, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Reach out to who?
Grant
Cameron.
He's very busy. He does many shows every week. He posts everywhere. If you go, have you ever gone to
15
YouTube?
Books or something?
Pulled up his name? Have you ever pulled up his name?
Yeah, I sent him a friend request and tried talking to him. He never got back to me. That's why I'm saying
he's not big on Facebook. That's for sure.
We need somebody important to reach out for.
He's got 2 people who just do all his Facebook and.
Hey guys, I'm going to go live, so let's be quiet for a second.
We are live. I'm alive. I'm not dead. I'm alive. This meeting is being live streamed.
Hey, there we are.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Port Cunningham, and I'm here with my distinguished, honorable co-host, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. And this is the Pork and Bean Show, and we're joined today by Gene Kimura. Did I pronounce that right? Uh-oh. Are we frozen up? What happened here?
I don't think so. It says live.
It says my internet.
I don't know. It says recording live.
It says my internet connection is.
I am so pleased that it's your fault.
I don't know why my internet connection is unstable, but hopefully it'll stabilize. Did you hear my introduction?
It was good. Yeah, you made a good one.
Oh, okay. Hey,
I
Gene,
heard it.
how you doing?
Good. It still says recording on my side.
Yeah, no. Everything's good. Everything's good. Everything's good. We're live.
We're live. We strive to be alive.
Right.
You know, I had that health scare there, Gene, and I was talking to Beans like, I kind of got cheated because I didn't actually die, so I didn't have a near-death experience and get upgraded or whatever. So.
You're funny. You call it an upgrade if you die?
Well, yeah. It seems to me that people who, I've got things opening up for me anyway because of the Sasquatch or whatever, but it seems like a common thing with people with near-death experiences is that they come back with a mission. They come back with different abilities, all this kind of stuff, which I've got anyway. But I wouldn't have minded another upgrade.
Come back seeped in love for the Creator and love for nature.
Right.
And especially love for the Pork and Bean Show.
Yeah. a lot of haven't really come back yet, but.
Okay.
When they do, it's going to be because they have to go back to Earth to watch the Pork and Bean Show.
That's true.
Yeah, can you imagine people on the other side just begging? Like this is a hard school, like living on Earth or whatever. But
Right.
people are just begging to come back. I just want to listen to the Pork and Bean Show, please.
My reason to exist.
So, Gene, why don't you take us back to your beginnings as a little girl, and how did you get into the supernatural? And were you always connected to it, or?
Well, when I was younger, I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters. But at this time, our last baby sister hadn't been born yet. But in the summer, during summer vacation, we would go out every night and SkyWatch and take our dad's binoculars and watch the sky. And we saw a mothership come in every night, and it would stop right across from our house and open its doors, and all these little I call them small UFOs, would come flying out and take off. Some went south, some went north, some went east, some went west. And it would sit there for about 2 hours. And then they'd start coming back in, and it'd open the door again. They'd fly in, and then the ship would take off. It would always go back to the north. It always came south towards where we were, and then it would always go back to the north. Now, we did that every summer when we were children, when school was out. And then that got us acclimated to accepting the fact there were UFOs. And I mean, if you see them in the binoculars, you get a pretty good idea of what they are. So we were not afraid of them because we were seeing them. We were all together when we saw them. So it gave us more confidence in what we saw. And we just thought it was cool. We were kids. We weren't afraid. We didn't have an opinion. We were just seeing what we saw. And we liked it. We had a lot of fun. Usually we'd stay up all night long. We'd go on long walks at night. I was the eyes, meaning I led all of us because I could see the best in the dark. And it was just something fun that we did. That's my first exposure to UFOs. And then as I got older, I had different experiences at different times. Now, the one you want me to talk about is the time that I went to Sedona, Arizona with my friends from church, and we were going to Boynton Canyon. Have you heard of Boynton Canyon?
I haven't.
Okay. It's this beautiful park-like area in Sedona. And at that time, you could camp there. So we went and we set up our tent. And our tent was huge. And it had a 6-foot window at the top. It was a circular window. So you could look up and see the sky over your tent. And it had a clear top on the circle. We set it up. We went into town. We went to lunch. We went to the creek and we swam in the creek that day. It was just such a beautiful day. It was very sunny, very beautiful. We went back to our site and we had brought our Indian drums. We're playing our drums, singing our songs, saying prayers. We just had so much fun that day. And about 11 p.m., we went to bed. And when we laid down and we had our sleeping bags in a row. I was to the far right. My friend was in the middle, and our other friend Pat was to what would be my right as I'm laying down, but to your left as you walked in.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we're laying there, I could feel my friend's foot tapping my ankle, and I'm like, I wonder what she's doing, but it didn't bother me. You know how sometimes you'd get upset about somebody tapping your ankle?
I don't think I've ever had anyone tapping my ankle, so I'm not sure. But yeah, I could see it might be upsetting.
Anyway, after another minute, it seemed like a minute, okay? When we open our eyes, her and I are at a doorway. I don't know how we got there. It seemed to happen like in an instant. And the door opened, and Saint Germain was behind the door. And I had been doing meditations with Saint Germain for quite some time. And it was just amazing to see him. And he's such a beautiful light. When you see him, he's like glowing. It's the best way to describe it.
Like a light beam?
Pardon?
Like a light beam?
Well, he's in human form, but he just has an inner glow, an inner light. He's very charismatic. Anyway,
you have a painting about him too. Can you maybe when you're finished with the story, you could bring that painting out? That was
yes,
a nice
I
painting.
have the painting. Yes.
Oh, okay.
On the wall or?
On the wall right at the moment. Do you want me to get it?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I don't, I'm most of my stuff is all organic. I don't read a lot about this subject. I just let everything happen organically. So I don't even know who Saint Germain is, but I'd like to see what he looks like.
Yeah, so he's famous, but a lot of people don't know that you actually painted a portrait of him from this experience.
Yeah, go get it if you don't mind.
Sure.
It's going to be a good one, Beans.
It is a good one. Like I said, she knows a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, that's wonderful.
Is that what he looked like when you see? You drew the picture of what he looked like when you seen him, eh?
Yes, he did not have on this exact uniform, but he had on a blue uniform. It was an electric blue. I made the painting with him holding the key, like levitating the key, because to me, he has the key to so many things. He's very wise, and he's holding an amethyst orb.
Who is he exactly?
Saint Germain.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you go on YouTube and read about him or get some of his books. I have a book here that I love.
He was actually an actual human at one time on Earth?
Yes. He's been so many people. He was Jesus's father, Joseph. That was one of his lives. He was George Washington. He's reincarnated multiple times. I have this book, Unveiled Mysteries, the original. This book is so incredible. It tells you a lot about Saint Germain and how he interacts with different people. And I would suggest getting this book.
Mm-hmm.
I mailed this book to Grant Cameron because I wanted him to read this book. So I sent him this particular book because he wasn't familiar with him either.
So when you said you connect with him, like you have you connect with him right today? You have communications back and forth?
Since
Well,
Rita and I thought, go ahead, Michael.
I said, well, you go back to the story because we pulled you away from that. The story, you open the door, you were on a craft, right? And you open this
Right.
door, and
So
that's when you saw him.
Yes. He invites Rita and I into the craft. We go in and it's a really large craft. And we walk inside and it's so clean and pristine. It's all like stainless steel, very shiny. And there are a few other people in there with him, but they sort of go off somewhere else. And it's just the three of us talking. And then he takes us over to the, I'd call it like the motherboard or the, where all of the knobs and all the controls are. And we start talking.
What does the motherboard look like? Sorry for interrupting you.
It's, everything is very organized. It has little knobs and big, huge windows. So when you're standing there, it seems like you can see forever because anywhere you look, you can see because of the big windows. And when we're over there, he asks us if we would like to drive the ship. Now, how many men ask a woman if she'd like to drive?
Yeah, that's unusual for sure.
Right. And here he's offering to let us drive a spaceship that's so ginormous. But we were so excited. And of course, we said yes. So then he told us that when you step up to the control panel, you have to think before you touch anything. Think and hold it in your mind where you want to go. We can go to the future. We can go to the past. We can go to a planet. We can visit all of the planets. We can do whatever you want. Well, first I wanted to visit the planets. So he said to hold it in my mind and then touch the button. It was one button. I mean, how amazing is that? You just touch one button. Well, as soon as you touch the button, you're there. We went from planet to planet to planet. It was so beautiful to see them up close.
How detailed a view did you get of the planets? Just like you just saw like the Earth from space kind of view, or did you actually see stuff on the planets?
We got close enough to see them. We didn't land on the planets, but we got close enough to really get a good look at all of them, close up.
But when you say close up, like you could see like civilizations on them and stuff? And
no, we saw them. We were still at a distance. We didn't have, we didn't see people walking around or aliens walking around, but we got close enough to have a bird's eye view of all the planets, which was so awesome.
Now, when you say all the planets, you talking about like Jupiter and Mars and
Jupiter,
Pluto and
Mars, Venus.
Okay.
Yes, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of them that we saw.
Yeah.
Then
are the colors better than when we see it like pictures of them from NASA? Are the colors of the planets different?
They were similar to the colors that you see, but we were close up. We weren't far. Usually they're taken from such a distance, you know, are here on Earth taking the picture. So if you see a picture that's taken from space, a lot of times you get a better idea because it's closer to the planet. And Rita wanted to go back in time. So we went back, and then
Well, tell us about that a little bit. Where did she go? On a planet or Earth or someplace else?
back in time, just back. She wanted to see back in time, further back.
So what was it, like the caveman days or something? Or
Not, to be quite honest, I don't all the details of the trip to the past, because that isn't what I wanted to see. I mean,
Right.
you know what you pay attention when it's really important to you, but if it's not, I was just so caught up in so many things at that moment.
Yeah. But still, it was astounding that you went back in time as easily as you went into any point in space.
Yes, that was an option he gave us. Then the next thing he did, he took us back to Earth, and we saw all the ley lines. Do you know what ley lines are?
Yeah, the energy grid of the Earth.
Yes.
It's like the acupressure points on a person.
Yes. He made them all light up. And as we flew over them, we can see how they interconnected with each other. And it was amazing, especially to me, because I am also in the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull meditation group. And that was one of our directives, was to heal the ley lines, because they have gotten very weakened over the years because they're very old. And we helped heal them. It took a while, but we helped strengthen them, reinforce them. And we did it numerous times, not just once. We did it numerous times. And then Bill told us that we had accomplished reinforcing the ley lines, because now they can work up to what they should be working at, the level they should be working. That was very exciting. And I believe that trip that we took and me seeing the ley lines, it really helped me when Bill said that was one of our directives, is to heal the ley lines. And I believe that trip prepared me to do that. And it's been years. We went there in 1983 to Boynton Canyon. We just healed the ley lines like a year ago. So look how many years between. But in my mind, I could just concentrate on the ley lines and then imagine flying over them and sending energy. Because when you send energy and you're working with the skull, one of my things that I do is I send her love. I just look at her and send her love. She sends it back. And when she sends it back, your heart like explodes with the love. You feel so much love. And I'll do that about 5, 6, 7 times and get so full of the feeling, the vibration, and then go and spread it everywhere, because that magnifies it. She helps magnify it. And I can't even describe all the things I have learned just meditating with her. She's very amazing. And here's a book that I mentioned to you, and it's called The Message of the Crystals from Atlantis to the New Age by Alice Bryant and Phyllis Gillard. And then her picture is inside. I'll show it to everybody.
That's a recreation of the crystal skull face, right?
Yes, they did a forensic match, and this is what they came up with.
Any information on that face, or what they think? Any thoughts on that?
She's 200,000 years old. No. This is the only thing that they have to show. And they do discuss that she was probably part American Indian and more Oriental Mongoloid. That's what they call the look of her face.
But that, you know, when you describe this as you meditating, sending love to the crystal skull, and then this love comes back, and you do this back and forth, and that you've been doing this as part of your grid work from the 80s to now, is like whatever that is.
No. I've only been involved in the crystal skull. It's been a couple years with her.
But you were doing the grid work for like 40 years or something.
He showed us the grid. He never said it would need work in the future, but he showed Rita and I the grid. And then he told us that in the future, I would be moving back east. Rita would stay in California. She is still in California. I am in Pennsylvania now. But because I came to Pennsylvania, I learned so many things. I mean, about so many things. It's just mind-blowing. Everywhere you live, you learn something. I was very spiritually connected in California, had a lot of friends at the church. I went to the spiritualist church in California. I went to another church. It was just a little country church. And that's the church where they were more involved with SASQUATCH, ETs. You know, every church leans one way or the other. The spiritualist church had a lot of mediums and psychic people. So we did a lot of meditating and messages during the service. So everywhere you live, you pick up different things and your focus changes a little bit. If you move, where do you live, Michael?
I lived in Miami most of the time, but you know, what you bring up about the church, I'm glad you're doing this, because there's a connection between people who pray and then those people have more experiences with Sasquatch. The people have faith. And the same thing, the people who have connection to the ET, if the ETs aren't coming to your house, but if you go out into a field and if you pray and you're in those kind of good vibrations, or you're in your heart, then you can call down the ET. So there's this whole prayer, religion, Sasquatch, and ET connection. And I think that's very real. And it's a lot of it overlooked. There's a lot of people saying, oh, they're demons or something like that. But
no, they're not.
Truth, the people who pray are having experiences, and they have experiences of saints and angels, or they're having experiences of the ET people, or they have these experiences with their heart of the Sasquatch people, which I think is a data. People aren't talking about that, but I'm glad you are, because there's this whole prayer connection, heart connection that connects everything.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know
and
what,
I think
let me just, I wanted to make a point on, I don't think you were shown that grid by coincidence. You know, Saint Germain already knew you were going to be working with it.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
he showed us that grid. And then when Bill brought it up, I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Exactly.
I had seen it from the air, and we had gone all over the world to see it. We didn't just look at it over Sedona. We went around the world looking at the grid everywhere to see how connected the grid is.
I think it's self-explanatory probably, but just, you know, for the audience and myself, and what is the purpose of healing the grid? What is the grid, and what is the purpose of healing it?
Okay. The grid reinforces the energy that's going all around the earth. And the energy connects when it's strong. And it helps the plants, it helps the trees, it helps the flowers, it helps us eat, it helps us breathe, it helps everything. We need that grid. That grid is special. That grid was built for a reason. He didn't tell us this. It's just what I know within myself. And by showing us that grid, he knew we would be trying to help heal it.
Yeah.
Because he can see in the future. He can see in the past. He's lived multiple lives. And I mean, he's been an important person in every life he has lived. But if I were to talk about Saint Germain, we'd be here for like a week. So it's better that you get a book or go on YouTube and learn things. You'll be amazed.
So
you really will.
Is the grid like, we're all connected energetically? Is that what the grid is all about? Energetic connection?
The grid is the energy connection that encompasses the earth. It helps all people that live on the planet. When it is strong, we can be stronger. It gives us energy. It gives the earth energy. When you go out and you walk on the earth, you get an energy from the earth. If you're in your bare feet, it goes into your feet. It goes into your body. It helps balance your body. That is the best thing about the energy grid, is it helps the earth be in balance. And right now, the world was lacking balance because the grid was
Really?
out of whack. Yeah.
Oh, who know? I never noticed.
Everyone noticed.
I know. I'm being silly.
But it was his recommendation that we see it. And then I realize now he did that for a reason. Nothing that he did that night was not thought of well in advance of us coming on board.
Of course. It's the same with the Sasquatch. They don't show you anything that that's not going to be used at some point. And when you come to the realization of whatever, you'll realize why they showed it to you. It's the same thing we're talking about. So I just make a couple of points.
Sure.
A couple of questions.
Okay.
Well, first of all, my point is that when you said they can, with that button or just with a thought, you can go here, there, or everywhere.
But remember, it begins in your own mind.
Yeah. But
pull it into your consciousness, hold the thought, and then press that button.
Yeah. But
do not do it in a different order, because if you want to go anywhere, you have to be thinking of it and holding it in your thought.
My point is that that's what the Sasquatch do. They do exactly that. That's how they can appear in my room or appear anywhere.
You know why? Because they're ascended beings. God made them.
Got that right.
Like your older brother, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And my other point was,
the Sasquatch can do what the spacecraft can do, and we can too. They're teaching us.
Yes.
The ETs are teaching us, and the Sasquatch are teaching us. But right now, you have in your body the memory of traveling around in space and time, just with your thoughts.
Yes.
Right. And you're part of the human collective. And that means the human collective is now learning and has been learning for a long time. All the people who have been abducted, all the people who have been contacted, they go up on the ship and they come down the ship. And they remember this in our body, in our DNA. We remember being able to move through time and space with the power of our own thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
This is historic. And Sasquatch are teaching us too.
Yeah.
why the government has spread all the lies that Sasquatch is a hybrid, that Sasquatch is a monster, that Sasquatch is the enemy. They're full of you know what.
Yeah, because if we find if their message gets out there and we realize we're all one and all connected or whatever, we're so powerful. And, you know, they control us with fear and division.
Yes.
So that's why they definitely don't. That's why they portray them as monsters and myths.
Yes.
You know, they'll eat you. And
they're encouraging people to go out and shoot them and bring a body so we can prove that they're here and then go kill them all. And that ticks me off because this is wrong.
You think? Yeah.
It makes me furious. And when men, quote unquote, men with a big gun go looking for Bigfoot just to kill him, that is so wrong. That's why I wanted to bring up how in the Bible, they even talked about Sasquatch.
Yeah. I mean, when you go out and kill anything just because you want, you know, if you have hunting for food or something and for survival, that's different. But if you're just going out and killing something because you want to, that's anything that's wrong.
They're not going to eat a Sasquatch.
No. Can I ask you one more thing? When you're on the ship, a lot of people say that they have a feeling or they have a knowing that the ship is an actual living entity.
It's alive.
Can you describe how you knew it was alive and why?
Because when you're thinking the thought and connecting with your own mind, and then you touch the ship responds instantly to you. Mm-hmm. It's responding to your thinking, your mind, and your feelings. It's very connected. It feels alive. The whole trip was so incredible. We were there from probably about 11:30 to midnight until the morning. It was getting daylight when they dropped us off. And I want to tell you what happened.
It was like six or 7 hours on the craft. That's amazing.
Yes. That's how long.
And fully conscious, fully aware, and full remembering. This is rare in the ET connection thing.
It's given me goosebumps.
Yeah, and you said that everybody you saw on the craft was, because I listened to a bit of your the interview you did with
Graham.
Everybody was humanoid.
Everyone was humanoid. Yes. They look like people. Yes.
Did you know
I didn't see an ET with him.
Do you think there were any other people like you there at the same time? Just like regular?
No, I think it was just for us that night.
Okay.
Because he would have had the other people come in if he wanted us to interact with other people. I think he was helping us prepare for now, the future.
What was your impression of these people? Were they like from the future? Or, I mean, although, you know, we know the future, the past, and the present.
When we walked in, they were there, they said hello, and they left the room. Because this is a big ship. They went in another area. So they disappeared behind another door. We only got to say hello.
Were they wearing uniforms?
Yes, they were all in uniform. Saint Germain's was like a dark, beautiful electric blue. Theirs were another color. And we always called him Commander. Yes, Commander. That is how we addressed him. And if you read this book, you'll find out why. That's all I'm going to say.
I wanted to add something about the Sasquatch on the ship. Is that this lady Barbara Lamb she likes the Sasquatch and she's a big UFO investigator. Barbara Lamb. And she was saying that when she went to South America, that over 50% of the people who are taking on a craft, and they're
Yeah.
same, right? They say that it was a Sasquatch craft and a Sasquatch ship that they went on.
Wow.
Wow.
I've heard that. I've heard about the Sasquatch ship.
Yeah, so they may be off-world Sasquatch, but it's still, amazing.
They're very smart. They can speak any language. They can write any language. They're very artistic, as you know, Brian.
Yeah.
They're very gifted. In my heart and mind, I think that they are incredible beings, and God bless them. And when we make peace with them, become their friends, don't fear them, love them. Be like the American Indians. Give them tobacco, take them apples, take them bananas, give them fruit, give them nuts. I mean, anything. They appreciate everything that you do if you are kind to them.
Of course.
If you go into the woods and you hate them, you despise them, in your mind, you're going to kill one of them. You're never going to see one because they can become invisible. They can teleport. They can do so many things that most people cannot do. I could go on, but if you don't mind, I'd like to start.
Let me just say go quickly on that, and
okay.
Then hold your thought. That's why, with all due respect, it's just how it is. I'm not making a judgment on this because the Sasquatch are not about judgment.
Right.
When we're at our highest self, the self that they're trying to reacquaint us with, there is no judgment. But the bottom line is on a practical, or what you see is that there's people who are been investigating them for 30, 40 years that are famous big names, but they don't approach them with the heart. They don't approach them as people. They don't approach them as respect or any of this stuff. And so they never really get any information from them. They don't understand them in any way, because other than maybe, like the length of their stride is such and such, or their foot, or a few physical details. But the Sasquatch are not interested in connecting with those people because they're not here to entertain us. They're here to raise our vibrations, like so many other entities, star nations, races, and stuff are, because this is a very pivotal time in our history. So that's why, like somebody who connects with them on a heart level can know more about them within a week than these guys who have been, like hunting them.
Right.
Or for greed and profit,
years.
Whatever, for years. They never really learn anything important about them. And I'm saying that with all due respect. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but that's just how it is, right?
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, literally, and and I'm not just talking about myself personally, but literally, I would say that the first day I went out there, I probably knew more than most of these people because I knew they were human right off the bat, and I could feel them energetically, right?
Right.
So it's if they want to connect with you, they'll show you something if you've got the right heart space and and you're willing to learn and be taught. If you're not, they're not going to do it.
They'll move on and they'll find someone that is.
Exactly. So I'm sorry for interrupting you. Where do you want to go now?
No, that's fine. I wanted to just talk a little about the Bible and what it said about Sasquatch.
Sure.
Okay. Now, this is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son.
I'm getting the energy. You're talking some truth here. I'm getting lit up with energy now, Gene.
Really?
When he gets energy, the Sasquatch are poking him and saying, "This is true. This is true."
They're giving me a nudge, like to listen. This is important information.
It is, because.
Oh, look.
What?
I don't want to
Look
cry.
at our guest.
It just makes me so upset that people can be so wrong and so evil and to hurt a being just because they look different than we do does not mean they're evil, they're a hybrid, they're going to eat you. I mean, I could go on and on. I've heard so many lies about Sasquatch. And I will admit, the first encounter I had was very frightening. I will describe that in a bit, but I wanted to just tell the story about the first Sasquatch that I ever heard of in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, if it's in the Bible, I believe it more than if it was in just another book. You know what I mean? Because the Bible has a lot of things that go way, way back in our history. And sorry, but it makes me so emotional. But it's so frustrating. And then you go on a different channel and you're listening to someone else talk about Sasquatch, and they're so caught up in, oh, I can't wait until I shoot one. Hello. Does that even make sense to you?
Not
it
to
doesn't
me.
to me either.
That would be the most. If anybody hurt one of my family clan members, I would be so devastated.
Yes.
I would never recover from it. I would. Yeah. I mean, now I'm crying.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom it because the love that they give you is so pure, so universal, and so strong, and so. And I'm getting lit up again. It's just like it's so sad.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
horrible.
why I love your show, because I had a heart connection with you two, because you're so sincere and so real. And so many other people are just in it for the money, or just in it for the notoriety, or just in it to get some attention. Hello.
Hey,
this is real.
My YouTube channel, I talk about them in a true sense.
Right.
You know, and I put a lot of work into it. I get 60 or 70 views on some of my videos. These guys are talking about their monsters and they're going to eat you and all this stuff. They get tens of thousands or whatever. But you know what?
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care, because it's not about views. It's about getting the truth out there. And I'm not going to, you know, they told me, you represent us everywhere you go. That's not an ego thing. But when you represent somebody as beautiful as that, somebody such a high being, and I'm getting just. Oh,
that's why I call them ascended. They are ascended already.
Yeah, we
could learn so much from them.
Yeah, when you
or they never fell. That's the other thing. A lot of them never fell.
When you have that responsibility, I'm not going to ever compromise the truth or the heart and anything just you know, for thrills and chills. That's
right
and happen.
Right. And see, that's so important, because they're so heart-centered. They need heart-centered people around them. They don't need all these. If they know you're phony, they're not going to come near you.
They know what you're going to do before you do it.
Yes.
They've known discoveries I've made 5 years before I came to the realization. And that's just, throwing a number out there.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely. They proved it to me with my glyphs and stuff, but I've talked about that before. But anyway, let's get into the Sasquatch in the Bible.
Okay. I'll try to start again.
Sorry, but all your thoughts just get so many different avenues of questions and thoughts and contributions, to validate what we're all talking about, because that's important. This
is only a couple paragraphs. I would like to try to get through it, and then we can discuss it. Okay, this is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as his wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, if all is well, why am I like this? Meaning, why are the children always fighting with each other, kicking each other, stuff like that, making her very uncomfortable? So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. So they called his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game. But Rebekah loved Jacob. That's it. But it just tells you that she struggled with the pregnancy, because imagine the Esau had to have been much bigger than Jacob, especially even as a baby. So they're probably arm wrestling for space, right?
Yeah.
And when you're a twin, there isn't that much room for 1 baby, let alone 2 babies. So it just makes sense that she had some issues. That was the first thing I wanted to share. Do you have any other questions?
Well, is there any more information on Esau when he became, when he was a man? He was a big, hairy man, right?
If you go to Genesis, there's a whole section of different things, but that's what I wanted to dwell on, because God created Esau. God created the Sasquatch. It wasn't an accident.
Well, I think it's interesting that, Sasquatch calls people, myself included, who are connected to them, they'll call them brother. And
Right.
maybe that goes right back to that story.
It does. That's why I said they're like our older brothers. If we would go to them with that idea that they are related to us, God made them, God made us. And, they're 95% human. I mean, they did the genetics. There's only a small portion of them that isn't human. Well, because God put it in them. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they always attacking something that God has created? It doesn't make any sense to me, but
No.
I don't understand people.
So when from your understanding, when did the division start? I mean, the division in the sense that, like Sasquatch, they don't hang out with us anymore. I mean, when did they kind of go their own way? And
well, they've been hated for thousands of years already.
I'm talking about
That's-
initially from the Bible or whatever. What?
I didn't read the whole Bible. I'm sorry. I read it in portions. I don't read. Edgar Casey read it cover to cover every year. I don't know. I
guess
cannot
it could
answer
I
that
guess it
question.
could be simply that we fear things that are different. You know,
Yes.
we were programmed to fear things that are different than us, and because they were
And
different,
our government encouraging us to hate them, to fear them, to think they're going to eat us. If somebody tells you they're going to eat you, yeah, you might be afraid, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was watching a show the other day, and just because I was bored and it was kind of dumb, but the 10 scariest monsters in America.
And Bigfoot's
and guess who was the Sasquatch was number one. And I just said, oh my God, these guys are so off the mark.
But
You know, they were saying they're going to eat you and they'll, you know, they're just like.
that's why I wanted to read this, because if people go and open a Bible and go to Genesis and read what I just did, it might wake them up. Right?
Did you know that Christ actually quoted a Sasquatch story?
Really?
Yeah. When he said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to the mountain, come, and it will come.
Wow.
That is a story about Hanuman. And Hanuman in India, 700 years before Christ, the story was that that the Lord Ram from the Ramayana asked Hanuman to go and get this herb, this mustard herb, to heal his brother. And Hanuman went up to the mountaintop and forgot what kind of herb he had to collect. So he picked up the whole top of the mountain and brought it back to his Lord Ram. And to this day in India, Hanuman represents how to teach. He teaches how to have faith in God, and that's what Christ was saying. Hit the face of a mustard seed. So Christ understood this connection and actually spoke about it. And to this day, there's about 700 million people who go to a Hanuman statue or a Hanuman temple and ask for faith in God before they go to their temple. So that's a lot of people. That's more people than living in the United States and Canada. You know, there's a lot that they look to Hanuman, to a Sasquatch type figure, as to teach them faith in God.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
you know, Christ would know about it because this, you know, they were living on the Silk Road. That's kind of where the Silk Road ended up, is, you know, and so they knew all this. They knew that. I don't know that the Ramayana is one of the main texts of the Hindu religion.
Wow. I didn't know that.
When you're talking about 700 million people, this would make, if belief in Hanuman, if a belief in Sasquatch was a religion, it would make it the 6th largest religion in the world, with Buddhism number 7.
Wow.
That's how many people believe in that. We're out of it in the United States, in Europe. We're out of it.
We're out of it.
You know, any being that can show love and do these kind of miraculous things, and we still call them monsters. They're not monsters.
No, they're not. That's the saddest part. That's the part that's infuriating. And I mean, we can all agree, but how do you get the word out? How do you get people to start understanding the truth?
What we're doing here.
Right.
What we're all doing. Just
right.
Talk about it, and you know, people can see sincerity, unless
right.
they're just so totally closed off that they don't even want to consider it. But
right. And a lot of them are closed off.
Yeah.
And they're not open-minded.
And they trust the government, they trust the newspapers, they trust the TV and radio, and that's all a bunch of garbage. You know what I mean? So
I know.
and
It is.
lies and deceit and fear mongering and snickering, and it's just ridiculous.
The news
Right.
is not news. It's propaganda.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
absolute propaganda to push the agenda of fear, control, division, all that stuff that keeps us separated is what the news propagates.
Yes, because they don't want us to talk. They don't want us to agree. They want
No.
us to always be arguing.
Because if we did talk and we agreed, we came together, guess what?
Yes.
They're out of there. and they will be out of there. I mean, because it's going to happen. But,
Eventually, yes. I agree.
yeah, I think in our lifetime even.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did you want to go next?
Okay, the Lakota. Now they call Bigfoot Chiyi Tonka. Chiyi, meaning elder brother. Does that sound familiar?
It sure does.
And Tonka means great or big in English, though. The Lakota usually call him the big man.
Yeah. Heard that too.
There is your big man standing there, ever waiting, ever present, like the coming of a new day. Oglala Lakota medicine man Pete catches. He is both spirit and real being, but he can also glide through the forest like a big moose with antlers, as though the trees weren't there. I know him as my brother, and I want him to touch me. Just a touch is a blessing, something I could bring home to my sons and grandchildren, that I was there, that I approached him, and he touched me. Ra Owen, son of a Dakota spiritual leader. They exist in another dimension from us, but can appear in this dimension whenever they have a reason to. See, it's like there are many levels, many dimensions. When our time is this, one is finished, we move on to the next. But the big man can go between. He can go between time. He can go from our time to the past, to the future. They're time travelers. I mean, they can do anything. They're multi-dimensional. Do you know what a difference it would make in our mind, in our life, if we realize that we're multi-dimensional beings? The government doesn't ever want us to figure that one out.
No.
So they want us to be separated from the Bigfoot, from the Sasquatch, because if we learn too much, they cannot control us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When our time is in this one is finished, we move on to the next. But the big man can go between. The big man comes forward from Creator. He is our big brother. The big man comes from Creator. He is our big brother. He kind of looks out for us. As you mentioned earlier, they have helped you in so many ways. They give you those love zaps where you're like, you feel like you're flying within yourself. I mean, your energy gets all.
The love zap was more like but it was like an epiphany and all. It was like an all-knowing instantly. You know,
right?
It was amazing. But
don't you feel just so much love?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, isn't it sort of overwhelming?
Well, I mean, at times I've been driving into my woods and I get a greeting from them, and I'm just like literally burst into tears and like tears rolling down my cheeks, going like really like just like
because you're full
almost
of
overly
joy.
dramatic, and yet it's none of it's put on. It's so powerful, so loving, and just hits
joyful. You're full of joy, right?
Well,
it's joy,
full of love, joy. It's kind of hard to explain. Well, I would say full of love. It's kind of hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, but yeah, it's unbelievable and pure, and from a pure, loving, spiritual, highly evolved source.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The existence of the big man is taken for granted throughout North America, and so are his powerful psychic abilities. The big man knows when humans are searching for him, and that he chooses when and to whom to make an appearance, and that his psychic powers account for his ability to elude man's efforts to capture or hunt him down. In Native culture, the entire natural world, the animals, the plants, the rivers, the stars, is seen as a family. The increasing appearances of the big man are not only a message or warning to the individuals or communities to whom he appears, but to humankind at large. A messenger who appears as a warning from Creator that man's disrespect for his sacred instructions has upset the harmony and balance of existence.
Yeah. And people, I mean, the First Nations people, they never lie or exaggerate. Everything they talk about is truth. It's not like myth and fairy tales. So all, and they talk about all the abilities that I myself and many others have personally witnessed, like cloaking, shape-shifting,
Right.
telepathy, all that stuff that the First Nations people talk about. You just read. It's all true.
Right. Now, I have listened to different programs, and a lot of the American Indians have befriended them. A lot of them have them live on their land. I mean, they've been doing this for many years.
Mm-hmm.
They've befriended them. They give them food, tobacco. A lot of them intermingle.
Yes.
Some of the Indian people call them grandfather, uncle. See, they invite them into their family. That's why they get along so much better. And American Indians do not listen to our government saying they're evil, they're going to eat you, they're going to do this or that. They don't believe it because they've lived with them for so many years.
Yeah. And everything you said is true, but I will say one thing, that you don't have to be a First Nations person. You just have to have a good heart, good intention,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Respect, and they'll have a meaningful relationship with you, no matter what nationality or green, blue, yellow, whatever you are.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's really about the heart.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So you've had a few Sasquatch encounters. Did you want to talk about? Did you want to talk about some of those?
Yes.
Or all of those, or
like
whatever?
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've had two. It was in 1983. I lived in California, and I went to Julian with a friend that day. We went to the Apple Fest. They have a big Apple festival in Julian, California. It's about 45 minutes outside of San Diego. It's up in the mountains. And when we went to the Apple Fest, it was fun. I mean, there were so many people. It was packed. We had our apple pie, and then we went driving up in the mountains. And as we're driving down the road, we come around a bend, and the cows were on the left, all running into the middle of a circle. Now imagine a big circle of cows head butting into the middle because they were so freaked out. And my friend said, "What is going on with those cows?" And my aunt and uncle had a farm in Ohio, and they had 200 cows. And I said, "I don't know, but this is not the way cows behave. They look terrified to me. And they're trying to get in the middle to be away from the outside edge." Anyway, as we're driving, this motorcycle comes around us, and up ahead, just a little to the right, is this pathway that goes up the hill into the woods. And the motorcycle takes off and goes up there, and we're sitting in his truck, just looking at the cows, and they obviously got off their motorcycle because we couldn't hear it anymore. And then after a few minutes, they started screaming. And then this roar came out of the woods, and it was so loud. It sounded like the cross between a bear and a lion. And the sound alone, it shook your lungs. It made your whole body quiver, just this noise. And it was so loud. And my friend said, "Oh my God, what was that?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure it was a Sasquatch." And he said, "Oh my God," he couldn't believe the noise. And the cows were still terrified to our left. The people, you could hear them running through the woods. You couldn't see anything because of all the trees. So we kept driving because we didn't really want to stay there at that time. We came back in about an hour, and we just looked around. We couldn't see anything, but we didn't drive up that dirt road yet. About an hour and a half later, we came back, we drove up the dirt road up to the top of the hill. The motorcycle was there. They had started a fire in the fire pit. The fire was still burning, but no one was there. So we would go back like every week to see if the motorcycle was still there. The motorcycle stayed there for 6 weeks. They never returned for 6 weeks. And then they came and got the motorcycle. So that just tells you how frightened they were at that moment. That was my first experience. Okay. But when you're sitting,
that's the one you said before we got on the air that frightened you, right?
Yes. Because the noise, oh my God, I can't even describe how loud, and it's coming out of the woods. You can't see where it is, but the sound.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And when your lungs are shaking, you can feel your lungs going. I mean, that's how you feel. That was the first experience. So then the little church I told you about in San Diego.
The spiritual church?
Yeah, it was another, not the spiritual church, the other non-denominational church that I went to. It was a very tiny church. It could probably hold about 150 people in the church. Anyway, they were having a speaker come in to talk about Area 51 and the UFOs, because I was big on UFOs and I wanted to learn more. And he had pictures because when that UFO crashed in Arizona, Area 50, Roswell, yeah. They say that they confiscated 3 bodies of Grays. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Well, he had the pictures. He had the pictures of the dead Grays, and he had some autopsy pictures. He had a lot of physical evidence. Okay. So after the lecture with him, I went up and told him about how we had an encounter with what I thought was Sasquatch. And he said, could we go there? Could we, like in a couple of weeks or whatever, have an outing with everyone at the church? So 75 of us from the church went to Julian again, and we went to the Air Force Base that is now closed in Julian. They had like a landing site there, and that's where we went that night because he knew about the Air Force site, because it closed because there were so many UFOs and so many Sasquatches. They had to close it because it was all, they were always interfering with everything they did at this airport. I call it an airport, but it's like a landing station. You could fly a plane in, fly a plane out, but they ended up closing it. So that's where we did our meditation. So as we're there, and
what year was this?
Pardon?
When did this take place?
1983.
Okay.
About a month after we had had the first encounter with the cows. Okay. So we're there and we're doing the prayer. We always start with the prayer. And we're all in a big circle, but 3 of us are in the center doing like the greeting and the introduction prayer. And as I'm there, I look up and I see a silhouette, and I know it's Sasquatch, and he's very big, very tall, standing on the side of the hill, because we're really up at the top of a hill. Anyway, I say, oh my goodness, what is that? And he goes, oh, that's Sasquatch. And he goes, don't worry, he's only going to watch. He wants to know why we're here, what we're doing. Well, we were just doing an introduction prayer. So he came to listen. But then as I watched him, he disappeared. And then he appeared to my right. He'd be on my left, then he'd be on my right, then he'd be on my left, then he'd be on my right. And it was amazing. In an instant, he'd go from left to right. And I said, how's he doing that? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Right. Did you actually see him disappear?
Yes.
How did that look?
He blinks out. He's there, then he's gone. Then he's here, then he's gone.
And how far is the distance between he was here and there, and what time frame?
I was probably about 30 feet from him.
No, I meant you saw him in one place and then he'd be in another place. What was the distance between? In an instant, yeah, of course, yeah.
Instant. He's instantly there. Then he's instant. And I'm like, it was mind-boggling. You'd turn your head, you'd see him, he'd be gone. Then you'd turn your head back, he'd be over here again. And he said he can teleport. He's a interdimensional being. He can do whatever he wants. He can teleport. And he did. He kept teleporting. And it was like, oh my God. And then he walked right through. because I could smell him. And the smell is not pleasant because it's almost like sulfury, sort of.
Yeah.
And
unless it's a female. The females
No,
smell
this was-
the females have a very pleasant floral fragrance.
wow. Well, it was a male.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my God, what is that? And he said, he's just walking through. He's not going to hurt anyone. So then he made an announcement to everybody. He's not here to hurt anyone. He's only here to observe. He knew we were here. He wonders what we're doing. We were only meditating, trying to call in the UFOs to please fly over. And then they started flying over. It was a really incredible evening. We saw a lot of UFOs. And of course, the Sasquatch was right in our midst. So at the break period, we had a break about halfway through. A lot of people took off running because a lot of people were afraid. So we lost some of the people, but not all of them.
I can visualize that.
You should have seen everyone running to their car. Yeah. But it ended up being a good evening. We learned a lot. We said a lot of prayers, saw a lot of UFOs, and had the encounter with Sasquatch. And so Posty, that's what we called him, was very excited because he knew I had seen Sasquatch a month before or 3 weeks before. How I don't remember exactly. It was like a period of time after the first encounter. It's probably the same Sasquatch that came to our event that I saw the first time, because it wasn't that far from the first sighting. And usually they're in a certain area.
Well, they're in family groups though, too.
Yeah.
So, you can't necessarily say it was the same one. I have a theory on the smell, because I've had them around me all the time. Like I can feel them standing around me energetically.
Yes.
I've had them go inside me, that kind of stuff. But my point is that they've been around in close proximity a lot. And I've only smelt the smell that people describe as not pleasant a few times. And my opinion is that they were just letting me know they were there. I think that they can turn that off and on for a number of reasons.
Oh, okay.
The other reason might be is to scare people away that they don't want there.
Well,
that's
they scared some people away.
Well, maybe the people that ran away they didn't want there. But I think it's either for an introduction or, like I said, to scare the hell out of people. But yeah, that's my experience.
That was what happened that night. And I was glad that it had shown up because people could actually see it. It would be on the perimeter, but once he told them it was there, they could see it also. It would appear and then disappear, appear and disappear.
Yeah.
It kept going back and forth.
You said 75 people there. How many took off?
I'd say almost half.
Okay.
Our circle was smaller when we came back after the break, but we continued.
Yeah.
Some people are just afraid. And remember, in 1983, very little was known about Sasquatch. People didn't really talk a lot about Sasquatch. And over the years, as you know, Sasquatch is all over the world. I mean,
Sure.
Every country has encounters with Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And if people just thought about it, everywhere. Hello. They're not this genetically modified being. And if they're flying UFOs, you know they're pretty smart.
Yeah. What's your, and I want to let Beans contribute some questions too, but just I'll give you one here. What's your opinion of who they are? Who are the Sasquatch?
To me, God invented them. I mean, they're like a big brother. They're like if we only befriended them and came to understand them, it would enlighten our life. It wouldn't be a detriment to us. It would help us. And I really believe that God sent them here right now to help us through this transitional time.
Yeah.
And that's why they're here today. They're really here to help us. But if we don't wake up, they can't help us. So we have to love them and accept them for them to help us. And if we can't do that, they can't help us. But God sent them for that reason. He made them strong. He made them powerful. He made them huge. Because they're like bodyguards almost.
And they made it, and he made them before us. So they were in advance of us to take care of us. Like they take care of all of nature, all of creation.
Yes. And they love the forest. I mean, they honor the forest. Yeah. We need to learn from them. We don't need to shoot them. We don't need to hurt them. I mean, I wish there was a pill that could make people wake up sometimes. But unless you read and learn, you're not going to understand. And if you have a personal encounter, I think it helps. If you've seen one or two or a few, or like Brian, you get to meet the family and interconnect. It's very good to have people know that Brian has a good connection with the family of them. And I've read other stories about other people that have connected with them, have a family relationship with them. I think it's good, and more people need to know this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I almost completing a book that I'm writing on Sasquatch or whatever, and I came up with a list of 33 things, and I could probably do 50, but you know, you got to stop eventually, of similarities between near-death experiences and my love zap.
Wow.
The epiphany or the big awakening or whatever that they gave me, like 33 similarities. And that's very revealing because it tells you that they're of a universal spiritual teacher nature. And I'm getting energy again. It shows you that they're high and powerful beings, because people who have, you know, near-death experiences and meet God or come back with all these abilities and knowings and missions or whatever, that's exactly what I experienced with my love zap, except I didn't actually die. So, but it's very, very, very compelling evidence, very compelling to consider that, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So, Gene, could you kind of hit the high notes of the spiritually transformative events that you've had in your life? Because you started out as just a normal kid, and then these things started happening to you, and that shift your whole world or something, and you started moving in another direction. And I'm sure you've had a lot of them, like meeting Saint Germain was one, and but like I
that
like
was
Brian
the
was saying,
highlight. Yes.
yeah, the things that changed you, those events.
Well, one of the events, I had a near-death experience, and I was younger. My son was 2. So in 1973, my sister and I went out dancing one night, and we ordered a drink and then went and danced. You know, women danced together at this bar that we would go to. Anyway, came back, sipped a few times on the drink, and then I started to feel really weird. So we danced some more, and then I saw another friend, Debbie, and I asked her if I could sit at her table. I didn't feel right. She said yes. Now, I had driven my sister and I there that evening, but I told my sister I was going to go home with Debbie because I didn't feel right. I didn't want to drive. And my sister rode home with another friend, and I stayed overnight with Debbie. The next day, I still didn't feel right, but I drove home. And at that time, I lived in Conneaut, Ohio with my ex-husband. And I told him, I don't feel right. So he took me to my mom's in Pennsylvania. We're about 20 minutes apart. And before we got there, I died in the car.
Wow.
And as I was crossing over, I could hear my ex talking to me. He kept saying, hold on, you're going to be all right. And then I heard this other voice. It sounded like the voice of God. It was so calm. And it said, you will be fine. Just relax. It's giving me goosebumps right now.
What, did you have, a heart attack?
They could never figure out what I had.
You know why? Because you didn't have it when you came back. Whatever happened was cured, probably, I assume, right?
I have no words because I passed out in the car. He called an ambulance. The ambulance took me to the hospital. The hospital could not figure out what happened to me. They couldn't understand why I passed out. And I told them I died. I know I died. Well, I'll tell you what happened when I died. I was in a tunnel. It was like a tunnel. I could see to the far end. There was this beautiful glowing white light at the end of the tunnel. I kept walking toward it. I had someone to my right. I think it was like my guardian angel was on my right. But there was this ditch like at the bottom of this tunnel. And there were people in there yelling out, help me, sticking their hands out towards me at my feet, not touching me, but they were there, like trying to get my attention. And my guardian said, just focus on the light. So I did. I listened. I didn't get distracted with the voices or the hands. I got to the doorway at the end. Oh, it's probably about 75 feet, it seemed like, to walk. And when I got there, the first person I saw was Jesus. Jesus was standing there, and he nodded at me, and I nodded at him. And he stepped to the side. And when he stepped to the side, there was what I call God. It was like 1,000 suns in this room, and they were so bright. And even before I got there, as I walked, I could feel my heart open. It was like there's so much love. You're your heart goes, I mean, you can't even see where my hands are because my heart felt like it got that big from, heart. It just blew up. I was amazed. I just knelt in front of him. I'll call it a him because you don't see a face. You just see all this energy. And it's so beautiful. I just knelt there and was like mesmerized by it. And then after a bit, I was taken to the entrance to heaven, like the pearly gates.
Did it actually look like pearly gates?
Well, it was like you're in one area and then you're in other area. I don't remember all the transitions, but I remember being here, then here, then here. Anyway, a lot of my dead relatives met me and we had a reunion. It was so incredible because I got to see people that had passed and they were so alive, so happy. Everybody was so happy to see me. You feel the love in your heart because it's so open. Everyone was so thrilled to see me. And then my spirit guide asked if I would like a tour of heaven so that I could see what you can do. And I said, of course. I mean, that's exciting. So we went on a walk. He showed me that you can go to classes, you can learn about any subject, you can do whatever you want. You have all these options to decide what you do that day. Anyway, as we're walking, I'm like, oh, I want to go to class. That'd be so awesome. And at the time I was in college. So then he said, I'm sorry, but you have to return. And I said, return where? And he goes, back to Earth. And I said, no, I don't want to go back there because heaven is awesome. And he said, I'm sorry, but your mission is not complete. And the next thing I know, I'm back in the car.
I want a couple questions for you. Did heaven seem like physical? What did it look like? Like a city or?
The tunnel is like a cave at the top. And it's very long. It's like a walkway. But there's people at the bottom calling out to you. The light is so incredible. It's so bright. It does not hurt your eyes. It's like 1,000 suns, but it doesn't hurt to look at it.
Right.
That's the best way I can describe it.
But you went to another place. You went to the pearly gates or however you describe it.
It was very beautiful.
What happened in there? Did you see us? What did that part look like?
I was with so many people, all of your relatives that have died come to greet you. Okay.
Right.
So.
No, but I mean, specifically, you said that, but specifically they said you want to have a look around at heaven. So what did they show you? Oh, it was
great. He took me to the school buildings. We went into different rooms. There were people in the classes. I could see them studying. It made me very happy for them. I didn't know there were schools in heaven. I didn't know that. That was new to me.
And they look very physical and very much like a school on Earth?
Yes. Look just like a school. The people, and my friend's brother said to me, are they all naked? And I'm like, what? No, they have on clothes. They look like just any normal person. They're wearing clothes. Nobody's naked. why would people be naked in heaven?
Okay, I want to make another couple points where we have it here. So, who were the
Yes.
people you figure that were trying to reach out and get help? Were they like the damned ones, or what do you?
I think they're the people that are like in purgatory or hell. I don't know. My guide was very clear. Look at the light. Stay looking at the light. He was very clear. You don't want to be distracted by the people there because it will keep you from doing what you need to do.
I'm wondering if you said they were reaching out for help, but maybe they were reaching out to try to bring you down with them.
Thank you. He knew that. I didn't. It was my first visit, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I did not want to come back here.
Yeah.
So the next thing, I was back on Earth.
Hold on a second, because I still have a couple important questions for this. So all the communication was telepathic?
I was there. I physically went there.
No, I know, but when they were talking to you, was it a telepathic communication? When the guy, yes, but when the guide was talking to you, telling you, do you want to go here?
I could not see him. I could only hear him.
Oh, it was telepathic communication.
Yes. I could only hear the guide.
One more
I
thing.
could see Jesus. I could see all the suns, which to me was God, just 1,000 suns.
Okay, so, and then I won't, and I just wanted to make this one point, and then move on to your next thing. So how did you know it was Jesus, and what did he look like?
He looked like Jesus, long hair. He's just beautiful. I mean, there's an artist.
It was kind of like a knowing. You just had a knowing it was Jesus.
Oh yeah, I
He
knew
didn't tell
as
you
soon
he
as
was
I
Jesus.
saw.
It was just like
No, as soon as I saw him, I knew instinctively who he is.
Okay.
There is an artist who paints Jesus because she spent time in heaven. I'll find her name and I'll send you a picture of Jesus.
Wow.
How's that?
That'd be very cool.
Okay.
So anyway, I just wanted to make those points, maybe for my own interest, but yeah, and it's a little more detailed that way. So move on. So you came back.
I'll send you a picture. I was back. Yeah, I was back after the hospital. A lot of my family members came to the hospital. The people at the hospital could not figure out what had happened to me. They didn't know anything. I mean, it was like they couldn't explain what happened. I think that somebody gave me a roofie. You know what a roofie is? It's when they drug you, try to get you to pass out, and then they take you. I think somebody slipped something in my drink.
That's
what I think.
How were you changed when you came back? Because I've listened to a lot of near-death experience stories, and people are dramatically changed in so many ways. How were you changed?
Oh, wow. Well, for 3 months, I was so depressed. So depressed.
Because you left heaven?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just a huge transformation. You feel so different. That's the best way to describe it, is just different. Now, when I was young, I was in the woods a lot. I'd go to the woods 2 to 4 hours a day. And my mother always told me I was a weirdo because I was always in the woods. But I love the woods and seeing all the critters in the woods, the animals, and just the peace and quiet, the serenity. And we had a beautiful creek that ran through the property. And there was a waterfall. I mean, it was so beautiful. Why not go there every day. It's free. It takes you time to get there because I'd walk there every day, but it's good exercise and it was beautiful. When I first came back, I was so depressed, but over time, I got past that. What I noticed is I was more psychic when I got back.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be able to look at people and see their aura. And a lot of times I would know when people were going to pass because their aura would be like a grayish color. To me, that signified they were passing soon. I never told anyone what I saw, but I would ask them, how do you feel about death and dying? And they were all good with it. They'd all made peace with death. They had lived a good life. They all said, I lived a good life. If I die today, it's fine. It was so shocking. Everybody that had that gray aura was at peace with dying. It was sort of eye-opening, really, to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do a lot of, I'll call it astral projecting. And I could meet people and I could tell them their whole story, their life story. And they'd say, how do you do that? And I'd be like, I don't know. I just know. I can see.
Do you still have these abilities?
No. It changed over the years. I asked that they'd take it away because it's really hard on you. It was hard on me when I'd be with people and I'd know certain people are going to die. This person's going to be sick. You hear so much because you're hearing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sasquatch do the same thing with humans. When a lot of times when they like walk around, you hear them walking around the tent or tapping on the window or looking in the windows and stuff. They're actually reading your whole history like that. So they know if something bad's going to happen or something good's going to happen. And they also know when's the time that they're going to show up. Like, like that event that you had, in the church and the Sasquatch showed up. That Sasquatch knew all that energy. He had to know that was going to be happening and that was going to change your life and touch a lot of people. And that's why they put on a little show, because I've never heard a show like that. But then there was 75 people out there. So that was like a show, because Sasquatch usually don't do a show. They'll just be one-on-one or something. But that was like a little show of his powers and what he could do. And I'm sure that the Sasquatch, because I've had elevated states where when you walk up to somebody and you see a whole slideshow of what's happening in their life, and you know what's going on with them.
Right.
So that's really elevated, yeah. I could see it could be a problem, but actually it's a great blessing to be able to do that, because you're reading people's timelines.
I know, but I was young. I had a young son.
Yeah, you had his stuff to do.
I was in college. I was trying to study. I was trying to get good grades. I mean, I could go on. And I prayed for them to take some of it away. It's too much. I have so much in my head already. How can I study and hold all these things in my brain when all this, I walk in a room with 35 people and I'm hearing 35 conversations all at the same time. Okay.
Wow.
And trying to keep it straight.
Because I can't even fathom that.
Oh, yeah. I heard it all.
Try going to a library. When you go to a library, all these people are sitting and reading their books, and you can hear everything.
Yes.
You've experienced that, Beans. That was incredible. Yeah. But how do you hear 35 conversations at the same time and be able to make sense?
You do. And my husband and I'd be driving down the road and I'd be telling him what everybody in the cars are saying. And he'd look at me like I'm nuts. And I'm like, oh, they're arguing, they're doing this, and he'd say, just shut up already. I mean, hello, I can't, he couldn't hear it. So he thought I was losing my mind, but that's what happened. That was part of it.
Well, obviously, you're doing something now. You're on a mission and you're talking truth and whatever. So that answers that part of the question. But did you know at the time that did you feel like you had something to do after that, the fact, like you had a mission or something? Or was just life, you were too young and life was just, kind of consuming?
Well, at that time, I was stressed out about college. My son, my husband and I had got a divorce. Things were changing. And when you feel like you're sort of alone, trying to get through life and raising a child, I mean, that changed the dynamics a bit.
Of course.
But then later on, you got this, you're doing the work that you're doing now. So that it all played, you didn't really lose anything.
No, I didn't. It just shifts.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, if you were psychic, why would you not want to be psychic? Hello.
And it's also being psychic doesn't top being a mother. Pretty much being a mother is one of the biggest deals in your life.
Exactly.
Everything else is like,
yes. Being a mom to me was my biggest job, right? And his father was so absent. And he'd always tell my son he was going to come and pick him up, and he'd never show up. That was heartbreaking. I had to watch my son crying every week for years because his father was so irresponsible. It was so awful. And then we moved to California. I thought, okay, if we move 3,000 miles away, you're not going to be able to break his heart every week.
Wow, good move.
And we did. And then slowly my son quit crying every week, thinking, why doesn't my father love me? Why doesn't he ever do what he says? And eventually that part got better. And because I moved to California, I met Sasquatch. I don't know. I could have met him here in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of Sasquatch in the area that I'm hearing about now, but before I didn't know that.
Are you in Western Pennsylvania?
Northwestern.
Northwestern. That's like where the hot zones are up there.
Right. But nobody talks about it. Michael.
Yeah, but those times when you went out with the kids and your family, your brothers and sisters, when you went out and looking at stars and playing, they had to have been there with you because you're out in the woods and looking around,
Yeah.
Right. So. But those woods stretched 400 miles from Pennsylvania into Canada. When we had the tornado here, I think in 1985 or 6, it picked up the newspapers. I used to live in Albion, PA. It picked the newspapers up in Albion and it dumped them in Canada, 400 miles away, on the other side of these same woods. So imagine how long that is, 400 miles of forest.
Yeah. What else did you have on your docket you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to discuss astral travel.
Absolutely. And isn't there some connection between that and the skull, you said, with you?
Well, I wanted to talk about the skull first.
Sure.
I wrote something. One moment. Kind of pull it up again. Sorry.
No worries.
My printer wouldn't.
Great show today. You're doing good.
Thank you very much.
I didn't really. I mean, we talked and we're friends. I didn't really know. Well, I mean, not intimate friends, like we know about each other so much other than what we read. But I thought, what are we going to talk to you about? And boy, oh boy, no shortage of things to talk about.
That's true. One moment here. Okay, the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull. I had a very personal experience recently in my home. I had spoken to my brother on the 14th of June. He said that his wife kept telling him that she was going to pass soon. And he's like, what do you know that I don't know? You know, he didn't want to hear it, of course. And loved her so much, and they did everything together. They were always together. And then we had our Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull meditation at 9 p.m. on June the 13th. And then 2 days later, on Wednesday, the 15th, I went in the bedroom and laid down because Tuesday I couldn't sleep. I had COVID for the second time this year, early in the year. And after you have COVID, you have trouble sleeping. Your sleeping schedule is all screwed up. You can't get it together for a while. Anyway, I had laid down to take a nap. Since I had COVID, it's hard to sleep. I was in a very deep sleep. And then the skull came to me, and she was right in my face. Can you see it? It's hard to see.
Yeah, that's it. I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, she's staring at me. And she kept looking into my eyes, and it jolted me awake. She had never come to me before in my sleep. And I sat up in bed, and I thought, oh my goodness, you know. And then I thought, I better go check the phone because the phone's in the living room. And my brother Danny had called, and he had left a message on my phone asking me to call him back as soon as possible. So I called him, and as soon as he picked up and heard my voice, he started crying. And he said, my beautiful wife is dying. And I said, what? I mean, I was in shock. He explained that instead of taking her to the doctor's appointment, he had taken her to the hospital. And after examining her, they said that she had pneumonia and she had COPD. And that she was beyond saving. It was too far advanced. And the fluids had built up in her lungs, and there was really nothing they could do for her. And it was so horrible. And when you hear your brother crying, it's just too much. So they had her on a CPAP machine, but she had a do not resuscitate order on. She had him tell the doctor she does not want to be resuscitated. So they told him they have to take her off the CPAP machine. And he said, okay. They said it would take 2 to 3 hours. She lived another 7.5 hours. and she passed later that evening. And at the end, her grandchildren were all around her bed singing songs that she loved. And it was a very beautiful experience in the end, but it was very hard to hear him because he was so heartbroken. And everybody deals with death differently. And I know she's in heaven, and he knows she's in heaven. But when you lose someone in the beginning, it's difficult because you want them with you. And he's getting better now, my brother. But that day, I was just so thankful that the skull had woken me up. I mean, that's a miracle. I mean, I was so sound asleep.
Did you see the skull as the skull or as the recreation of it?
No, the skull. The skull. To me, the skull is so beautiful because I can see her heart. I know that sounds weird. She has the most beautiful heart. She's so loving. I just love the skull. And that's how she appeared to me, as the skull, not as the person.
Yeah. So you've been working with her for a couple of years?
Yes.
And has she told you who she is, or?
No. We do not have long conversations. I get feelings. She sends you energy. You can feel her in your heart, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel her expanding my heart. She made my heart bigger. She makes my heart expand. And then when I do the meditations and travel to do the healings, you take that energy and then you can spread it everywhere. And that's the beauty of it. She can help you magnify your healing ability, and then you can spread the energy.
So you said you astral travel and heal?
Yes.
Describe some of those experiences. That's fascinating.
Well, with Bill Holman, who was on your show last week.
Yeah.
Okay. He will direct us in our meditation on what we're doing that night. Okay. So take, for instance, the key lines I was talking about earlier when we were going to be healing the key lines. We went all over the world to heal them. It wasn't just in the US, because they're all over the world. And he will give us destinations or tell us to just go. And then instinctively, you'll know where to go because it just happens.
How does the astral travel thing work? Are you just laying there and all of a sudden you're where you vision you want to be, or how? Because I've never done it. It's new to me.
Well, when I was younger, as I mentioned, I'd be out in the woods a lot. If you're an outdoorsman, I know you are, you go in the woods, right?
Just about every day.
Do you make friends with the trees?
Yes.
Okay.
I touch them. I say hello to them. Sometimes I see faces, personalities, and the rocks too.
Right. See, and that's good because the rocks can talk to you. The trees can talk to you. When I was younger, I would see the aura around the tree. If you glance at a tree, sometimes not directly, but just to the side of the tree, you can see the aura, and a lot of them are really big. And The Sasquatch are very connected to the trees, the rocks, everything in the woods because they love the woods. And of course, you know, they're here to protect and take care of the planet. They love the planet. They love the earth. And I think I used to have, when I was younger, a lot of dreams. I was always flying. At night, I'd go and fly to another country and I'd be helping a lot of families. And that's in my mind. I see myself being able to fly. So I never doubted flying because I've done it so many years. I know that sounds weird, but.
Do you think the dreams when you're flying, is that actually astral projecting?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because I flew so much in my dreams, I can do it now. I mean, it just, you prepare, you get calm, you start meditating, and then you can go. I mean, it's very quick.
Give us a little more detail of how you do it.
Well, if you want to learn how to do it, you need to be able to calm your mind. Remember that your body does not travel. You're traveling in your mind. Your body is going to keep laying in your room.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So you have to remember that and not be afraid if you're levitating above your body, looking down and see yourself laying on the bed. Don't get afraid. I mean, that's the first thing.
That's when people snap back right away, right?
Yes, exactly.
Is it like a cord extending?
No, it's your mind being afraid to leave because your brain is trying to keep you protected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing you have to do is disconnect from the fear. And recently, I read something that the best time to meditate is after you wake up in the morning, okay, when you're rested, and then lay down and try to astral project. But one of the really good things.
Okay, excuse me, Jean, because a lot of us, I mean, I'm not even, I think, a novice. I wouldn't call me that. So how do you project that you want to astral project? What do you visualize? How do you get to that point?
Okay. If you say you want to go to Sedona.
I do.
In your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Go get a book about Sedona and pick out a place. Have a picture of the place. You know, they'll have books with pictures. Yeah. Pick out a really nice setting. Say you want to go to Red Rock or you want to go to some other area, Boynton Canyon or whatever. Stare at that picture and get that picture in your mind. Hold the picture in your mind. Lay down, pull it into your third eye area. Like hold it in your third eye and just say, I want to go there now. And then in your mind's eye, see like a vortex. You know what a vortex looks like?
Yeah.
Okay. See that above you and just jump in it.
Oh.
Jump right in it. Don't be afraid because you're always tied to your body by this silver cord. You will come back to your body. Get the fear out of your mind because fear will stop anything. Fear. It is our worst enemy. Fear.
Yes.
Yeah. So once the fear is gone, you can travel anywhere and it happens that fast. It's instant. It takes forever. Instantly, you are where you want to be. And because you are there in spirit you can help heal. You can help whatever your intentions are, you can do it because you're in a spiritual vehicle. But fear, you have to overcome the fear. And I think I gave you my written words about that. I hope you kept them. I think you're muted. You're muted.
Right. Sorry. So you sent them in an email, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
got
wanted you to give that part to Susan.
Okay. Well, you
Okay.
can send it to her directly too, but yeah, I can send it on.
I don't have her email.
Oh. Okay.
You
I'll
can
send it on
either
to her.
send me her email or forward it to her.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So can you, so you're saying you've gone to astral projection to heal the grid. Can you have you gone to somebody's, an actual person's place and healed them? Have you done any healing on people through this process?
Yes. And I have traveled all over the world, all over the universe, to other planets. One night at the meditation, we went to Egypt. We went under the pyramid. We saw a lot of aliens because there was a big get together there. It was pretty amazing.
Wow.
And a lot of us compared notes, and we saw some of the same beings. And I mean, it's mind-boggling sometimes, but you just accept that you did it because you were there. You know what you saw. How can people deny you that if you see things? And I mean, we compared notes. We talked about it after. We've done so many things, and it's such a blessing because we're doing it out of love. You know, if you heal out of love, usually that's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I've been, because the Sasquatch open up abilities in us, I've done a little healing. And even when you're doing that, even when you send something bad out or something that's not serving the better good of that person, I imagine they're in a bubble, and I open up a door and I send out whatever is not welcome or not for their higher good or whatever out with love.
That's a good one.
Doesn't matter what it is, even if it's something bad, you send it away with love.
Wow.
Because there's no
I
judgment.
never heard of that.
You haven't?
No, but I like that. Yeah, it makes sense. It would work.
Yeah.
And you can protect yourself if you want to astral travel. You can put a bubble up. I mean, I don't, but you can. You can surround yourself in the protection bubble before you travel, like a golden bubble. And then negative things can't get into your bubble.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was practicing that.
Wow.
Putting a bubble of protection around myself, and there were
Yes.
there were negative energies, maybe not negative, but energies that I couldn't handle or didn't want.
Yes.
That were not for my better good, and I could actually block them. Where before
Wow.
they were like devastating me, and I could, when I got in that bubble and learned how to block those energies coming in,
Right.
It's amazing. You can actually do it.
Right. Right. So I would recommend that Susan put up the bubble, help her learn to do that, and then show her what I wrote and see what happens. She has a fear thing going on.
She's very gifted.
No, she's afraid to travel. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, she's very gifted, but she has a fear. She's fearful. She told me she had fear.
Yeah.
That's not, and so I was probably afraid when I started. I'm not, but see, I started so young, you know, it was a natural thing. It happened naturally. So as you get older, sometimes it's harder to learn a new way to do things.
Yeah. So when you astral travel someplace, is it what it does? Is it? It's just like you're actually there, obviously, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you've healed people through astral projection. Can you give us, without sharing names, because I guess it's personal, can you give us any highlights of that?
Highlights.
Too many, or?
Well, there's so many, I don't know which one to discuss. Like I said,
I mean, like somebody who had like terminal cancer or something like that. Have you gone and healed them, and they were suddenly, or something like that, or?
Well, I was in quite a few circles, healing circles, and after. In your mind's eye, you see the energy going from you to them. And then as you keep checking in all the time, you'll get the update. Some of them pass, some of them recover, some of them go into immediate remission. Say it's a child, they have cancer or leukemia or a liver issue or a kidney issue or a brain tumor. And the brain tumor disappears. The cancer disappears. They go into remission. You know something happened because now they're in remission. A lot of them never get cancer again. Some of them get it, say in 3 more years, they get another type. You can never predict what will happen. You can only keep praying for them and their, better health. But you see it in your mind's eye, and then you get the feedback at a later date. But you never doubt the energy that you sent them, because you're only sending good energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I had another point, but I forgot what it was now.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you're doing your out-of-body astral traveling thing, have you ever materialized enough to where you could touch things or touch people or move things around? Because that's really bilocation. Is bilocation starts with astral projection, I think.
Usually when I'm going to heal. I don't move things around. I mean, I've never done that. I mean, rearrange their furniture, or what do you mean?
No, just like maybe touch them or something, or where you can that you're touching them and they can feel you or something.
Well, I wouldn't touch them physically. I would be sending them energy from a couple of feet away. I wouldn't physically put my hand on them. I would, it sort of radiates out of you.
No,
is the best way I can explain that. It radiates out of you. And you can will it to go, because you're talking.
Yeah, there's probably something you don't need to do, but I mean, I've heard from people who are remote viewers, and some of the remote viewers actually go into the place that they're viewing. And then, so that's like astral projection. And then occasionally they can do things like remote influencing. Remote influencing means that they have to be physically there. So like they can open a cabinet, file a cabinet, and look up a file or something like that. So I just wondered if that was something that was in your repertoire of experiences. But
No.
you're doing specific, really good work, and that's what your intention is. You don't actually even have to see them to heal them.
Right. Because a lot of it, say I get a message, okay, so-and-so is having surgery and they need prayers, and I'll see them in my mind's eye and send them prayers, love, light, but I can see the energy going to them in my mind.
How does the energy look like when it's going to them?
It's like a bluish color. I send a blue light. It's a blue light that surrounds them and goes to them. And then I feel it. I feel that it connected with them. It's just an inner feeling. And then later I'll get the message, they're in remission. They had a successful surgery. A lot of the children recovered. They're home now. I mean, there's too many to count. I mean, I did it for a few years and then I took a little break, because so many people were dying of COVID. It was very sad, And
I remember my point now.
That's got to be hard on you.
Yeah, I remember my point now. So on some level, these people that you heal, they have to agree to it, even if it's not consciously, right? Wouldn't you think?
Well, when it's a child and the parent is asking you for help, you just do it. The child is innocent, but God knows that you are only hoping to help the child. And I think that can still help the child.
No, but what I mean is that we're here to live different experiences. If somebody's had an agreement from their agreements before they came here that they were going to die or something of a certain thing, and it was in their agreement, then probably you're not going to be able to help them, is what I mean. They have to sort of agree to the help, don't they? On some subconscious level.
Well, in January, karma ended. There's no karma anymore.
That's news. Tell me more.
Yeah, tell us about that.
That's big news.
It was all over in January. Once we went into Aquarius, things have changed. You do not have to be tied to your past, okay? You can release the karmic ties. You do a prayer release of anyone that has hurt you or whatever. You can release it. You do not have to be tied to your past anymore. And it was on all over. I mean, YouTube. If you go to YouTube and look at karmic release, Age of Aquarius, I think you'll see it.
And what is the reason for why is this happen? Just so that we can transcend or whatever, or, easier by not having the...
Our Earth is on a new trajectory. It is not on the course it was on for the last 24,000 years. It's now on a new course. We're in a new area of the sky. We're in a new area that the Earth has never been in before. That's why when you look out, the stars seem to be in a different arrangement. The moon is moving in a new way. The moon has a different pattern. I noticed it before I read about it. I'm like, what's going on? The moon isn't moving like it did. The stars aren't where they were for years and years. Yeah.
I've got my own ideas of why, because it kind of makes sense. But why is this karmic release happened?
Because we're in the age of Aquarius now.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
It's a whole new ball game. It's just transitional. It's the transition. We are here in a time when the world is in such transformation, and we are very, very lucky to be here right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we couldn't, what I'm thinking is coming to me is we couldn't make this transition if we had the baggage of the karma.
Got it. Yes. That's part of it.
I
But
think
you choose.
That's also true even now. You didn't get rid of any baggage of your karma. Like you said, you have to do a prayer, you have to do some work. And
Yes. And I did that.
What you don't heal, then you own.
Exactly. And it's up to you. If you release the karmic thing, you can cancel any contract. Okay. You don't have to die when you thought you would in this lifetime. You can cancel that contract. You can live longer. Okay. We should be able to live longer if we choose to. You can do that also. It's up to you now. You have more freedom of choice. You have the free will. Free will. God gave us free will for a reason. You can choose to end the karmic debt. You can choose to end the dying thing. I mean, we don't have to die when we're 80 or 70 or whatever. If we choose not to, you can do the prayer work and then see how long you live. And remember, there is no time in real life. There shouldn't be time. Time is something man-made up, to get the 8 hours worth of work out of everybody. Right?
Is there a prayer that you go through to release this karma?
Look it up on YouTube. I looked it up. I did it a couple times to make sure that I was doing it correctly. I wrote out everyone I wanted to forgive. I took it down to the lake. After I said the prayers, I lit it on fire and let it float away because it was burning. And then after that, I felt lighter. You feel like a burden has come off of your shoulders. You just feel a shift. And then somehow things feel more balanced because karma isn't always fun, as you know.
It's heavy.
Yeah. And because we've been reincarnated so many times, I mean, so many, many times. How many?
My friend Jenny Jablowski, she was on the show a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
I asked her in messages, I said, how many lifetimes do you remember? And she said 7.3 million.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, we've been around.
7.3 million. Wow.
That's how long we've been playing this reincarnation game.
That's 7.3 million more than I remember. Wow. That's something, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's about time we start taking our karmic debt seriously, because the only reason you come back is
karmic debt.
And if you have not been working with your heart enough to keep that vibration high.
Right.
So you just made a good point there, Beans. If karmic debt has been released, Gene, then are we going to have to come back?
It's your choice. You choose. You can release your karmic debt and you don't have to come back, or you can release it and still want to come back.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can just carry on and not even think about it. But it did change in January when everything started shifting. I would suggest that you look it up, the karmic debt.
So how would you type that in YouTube? Releasing karmic debt?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they just tell you if there are people you want to release, you got to write down their name and then go somewhere quiet, peaceful, pray about it. I just light it and let it burn and float away because it seems to be the perfect ending to me.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed the perfect ending. Everybody can do their own thing, you know, but it worked. I feel lighter. And then over time, I mean, I'm still doing healing work. I'm still doing the meditating work. And to me, it's so exciting. It's so new. Every week we have, not every week, twice a month, we do the meditating with the skull. But every time there's something new, you know, Bill is very up on what we need to be concerned with. So that helps.
Yeah. What else did you have?
There's other reasons to come back to Earth. Like, let's say, for example, you said that when you were in heaven, you wanted to learn. And like Brian wants to learn healing and those kind of things. So that is also your karma. If you say, I want to go to Earth and learn heal and continue with my healing, classes, that would be a reason for you to come back. You know,
I'd
there's
like to mention.
there's nothing inherently wrong with being on Earth. What we don't like about it is all the trauma and the lies and the corruption and all that stuff that gets under your skin and the abuse and the greed. We don't like all that stuff. But if you like when you're walking in the woods, you don't feel all that stuff. It's just beautiful, you know.
I'd like to mention that now, if you decide you want to come again, you'll come in with your gifts, the gifts that you have developed. So when you're born next time, you'll come in with your gifts, not blank. Like before, your memory's wiped. So when you come in, you're like a baby and you have to relearn everything. That also ended.
Wow.
So now, if
can you imagine the future of humanity when they've got all that right to begin with?
That's going to be a new world, right?
Yeah.
It's also going to be 5D. I don't know how long it's going to be before the 5D really kicks in, but
I think it's starting to kick
5D
in.
is what the SASQUATCH are doing. When they're able to teleport from this place to that or go just invisible, that's 5D. And they're doing it on Earth, but they're living in 5D because they can do all the stuff that a spacecraft.
Yes, that's why I said they're ascended beings. They can do it all right now. Yeah.
So they're on Earth right now.
Yes. Yes.
So what's your sorry, Beans. So what's your thought? What's your thought on,
turn into a crystal? What I'm saying is it's okay the way it is. The energy structures is all right the way it is. It doesn't have to turn into something like a kingdom of heaven. It's already beautiful. It's just going to be higher energy.
So I think it's very optimistic because we know the Sasquatch are highly evolved beings or whatever in the past, future, and present doesn't exist for them. So many of us are being contacted by them and other teachers in this really pivotal time in our history. So I think that they already know that we're going to come out and evolve and have this transformation. Otherwise, why would they be working with us? I mean, if it's not gonna happen, I don't think they would be working with us. So that's, of course, we have free will, but it's very positive, when you think of it like that.
It is. Yeah.
And how do you see this transformation happening, and what's it going to be like? Do you have any insight into that? How are people going to be when we transcend or go to the fifth or whatever we do?
I think some people are starting to see it happen in their life right now.
Well, I think I think a lot of us are getting like those big knowings and whatever, and these gifts are opening up. So we're already witnessing it in progress, right? But what's the kind of like the destination? What's it going to be like when we arrive?
Well,
we already arrived.
We're already here.
Sure. What's that?
We are already here. Okay. I think we'll see a huge transformation in the children. Okay. The children are going to be very elevated in their thinking process. I saw a 2-month-old baby say, "I love you" the other day. It's on a video.
Wow.
It blew my mind. 2 months old. He looked at his daddy and he said, "I love you."
Oh
and then
God.
He said it again. 2 months old. This is what's happening. The new children come in with their gifts.
Yeah. Do you
Imagine when that child is 30 years old.
My God, I'm getting energy when you're just saying that. So do you think that the horrible things that they're trying to do to our kids now, we know what the government's trying to do to our kids. You think that's an effort to stop this from happening?
Yeah, they don't want kids to have power.
No.
They don't want kids to be smarter than they are.
Yeah.
But it's beyond what they think. They're so stupid. It happened right in front of them and they don't see it yet. Hello? Too late.
You got to do, I noticed you say the hello a lot, but you got to go, hello. You got to do the hello. Hello.
Yeah, but I just say hello.
Yeah, but hello. You could do the old.
They are so involved with themselves and what they want that they don't see what's going on in the world.
Are you talking about the handlers or whatever you mean?
They're bitter, broken people, really. That's what they are. They're full of hate.
Right.
And they're just bitter, broken people. And eventually they're going to have to heal. And we're going to have to be sending them love and light energy at some point.
Well, they don't want to relinquish the fear and the control they have over us. So that's, the power, fear that they have over us, because, this kind of thing happens. And obviously, when you don't have fear, they can't control you. That's one thing that Sasquatch took away from me. They have love, but they love to hurt people. They love to dominate people. They love to. So they have love, but it's perverted. It's twisted, and it's actually self-hatred manifesting as revenge for the world.
Right.
And yet you look at it, and without them being like that, and without them being so blatantly over the top and obvious, many of us would not wake up. The things that are going on today, a lot of people are starting to say, wait a minute, this is wrong. So in a sense, these handlers, or whatever you want to call them, are actually doing wonderful work, because they're putting it right in our face and it's becoming undeniable.
Right.
They're part of the shift too.
Because it brought it to light.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
This is why it's important to do your healing work, because healing work is it's what it propagates. It propagates into the collective consciousness. The more people do healing work, then that vibrational frequency goes into the collective. There's more memes, and there's more people talking about healing and shadow work and inner child work and the dark night of the soul. That's coming into our vocabulary because many, many millions of people are healing now. And at some point, it's going to get that 100 monkeys, and everybody's going to go, okay. And
Right, right. And it doesn't take that many people. And we have a lot of people in our meditation group, and the word is spreading because we have meditation groups in the US, in Japan. I mean, all over. People are getting the word. And more people, even if you just meditate every day, that spreads the energy. And peace, if we're all connecting to our peaceful place and being in our heart energy, that spreads the love. And the more love we can spread, the better off the world is. And it compounds itself. And remember, the key lines are secure now. The key lines, they are strong again. They are all reinforced again. It can balance the earth. That is what we needed. We needed to bring the balance back to the earth. But now we're traveling on a new path. They never thought we'd get this far, but we have. And thank God we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of help from the star people. You ever heard of Evan and Stephen Strong in Australia? They do a lot of work with the Aboriginals. They did this ritual, I think, last year, and that they awakened this Uluru, that big stone that's in the middle of.
Yes.
Right, they awakened that. The Palladians gave an energetic, what do you call it, boost.
Yes.
And it was the original life.
Wow.
Essence, the energy essence of Mother Earth that they brought to from a long time ago. And they reignited that, and that sparked all of the grid points around the world with that Palladian basically it's life force, living energy to bring Mother Nature, Mother Earth back up to another level.
Can you tell me their names again?
It's Even, as EVEN, I think, Even and Stephen Strong. There's a lot of talk about them. They've done a lot of videos, so they're pretty famous. They also talk about the original Australians, and they also talk about these elongated skulls and all this other stuff. And they work a lot with the energy grid, because that's all that the Australians do, is they all work on the energy grid.
Right, right.
That's their main thing.
Can I share a story with you,
Sure.
about I saw the battle going on, the battle of those who are trying to keep control and us trying to ascend or whatever. I was doing I was in a dimension, and I met gatekeepers of each of these dimensions, right?
Okay.
It was an exercise that I did with a lady and a fellow, and it was absolutely dramatic. So anyway, this is very hopeful, and it talks about how we're going to win this battle. So anyway, so initially I was like an orb.
Okay.
This was all like a vivid vision kind of thing, right? It was like really, really vivid. So I'm traveling up this big mountain road, and I come to a big stone gate, and the gatekeeper's there. And he looked like a big Egyptian dude, about 7 feet tall. He had that big Egyptian hat on and all the clothes and stuff. And he gave me his name, and he was Shaw was his name. And he asked me, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Truth." And I asked him a few more questions, and then he let me in, right? let me in. And this was like in the 4th dimension. And what I saw was a battleground between these reptilians on one side, these light beings on the other side. And the reptilians were like gnashing their teeth, and they were nasty, and they were like fidgety and really like uptight because they were getting their ass kicked. If I can say that.
Wow. Okay.
They were lewd, and they knew it. So they were very anxious and very, just a nasty bunch of business. Like I said, gnashing their teeth and meaner than heck.
Right.
And the light beings were on the other side, and they were shooting little holes in the reptilian's wall of defense, and consciousness and love and and everything would come flowing through from these little holes that they were shooting.
Yeah.
Okay. So then all of a sudden, I'm watching this go on, and all of a sudden I said, "Who's this dude coming?" I saw somebody walking from a great distance. Oh, and by the way, these light beings, they looked like they were really bright from their core, like light emanated from their core, and they were kind of transparent, human shape, but beautiful light coming from their core. So I seen this great big huge dude walking up, right? And well, I didn't know who he was at first. I said, "Who's this coming?" And this guy just walked up, and he was like 1,000 times or just way bigger than these other guys, and his light was, like 1,000,000 suns brighter or something, I guess. He was just like super like bright from coming from his core. And this guy just walked up, and his name was O. And he just walked up. I called him like a spiritual James Dean because he was so freaking cool.
His name was what?
O-H-O. Oh.
Oh no, O-H. Not Ho.
O-H.
Oh.
Oh.
O-H.
Oh. And so anyway, I call him like, yeah. So I call him like a spiritual James Dean because he didn't have any animosity, no hatred, no judgment, no nothing. He just walked up super cool, and he just like shot this big, huge, I'm getting energy. Maybe that's got this great big huge energy at the wall, and it just parted like the Red Sea, and then all this consciousness and love and everything just came flowing in. And then he just walked away, and like he didn't hate the reptilians. And by the way, there's not all bad reptilians. This was just a certain faction of them. And he didn't have any feelings towards them. He just walked up, did his job, and walked away.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's very optimistic in the fact that, it was very real to me. And that's what I think's going on. And
wow.
That's really powerful, and it's hopeful.
That is powerful. Can I tell you a story?
No, we're all done. No, of course. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Years ago, I lived in Albion, and I walk every night, go down to the park. So this one night, and it was near summer solstice, and I was walking down the road to the park, and I got to this one area. There's a bridge that goes across a creek. And as I started to walk across the bridge, when I looked into the sky, it looked like a wing, a big, huge wing. And I'm like, oh my God, that looks like a wing. And then when I looked to the right, I saw an angel, and it was a huge angel. It was at least 30 to 50 feet long. And it was flying, but near the ground. This was so bizarre. And when I looked in its eyes were like headlights. Light was coming out of its eyes and shining in front of it. Wherever it looked, it shined the light. It was so amazing. I have a drawing somewhere of it. Anyway, then when I looked back at the wing and then looked at the angel was dissipating, fading out, but it was really incredible. And then on the way home, when I was walking, the moon had come out, and I could see all these angelic beings going in front of the moon. I know this sounds really bizarre, but it really happened when I was walking, and it was so incredible. And I think that people today can see angels, you can see orbs, you can see Sasquatch, you can see UFOs, you can see aliens.
Dragons.
Pardon?
Dragons.
Dragons, yeah.
There's a
I
lot
had
of
a
people,
couple dragon experiences
yeah.
just last week. I'm wearing my dragon eye. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And before, dragons did very good things for the earth, for the trees, for the planet, for the plants, for the people. Dragons were our friends then. This is years and years ago. And I have a friend, Jolie Ryder. She's in Montana, and she takes photographs of the megaliths. Oh my God, she is phenomenal. They have robots, they have every kind of being you can imagine, and she has documented it. It's so fascinating. And just look at the history in our topography. I mean, look around. They're finding pyramids in almost all the states now. What's that going to do when they start uncovering the pyramids? What will happen to the world then if they unleash the energy? A lot of these pyramids connect with the planets. I mean, it's a direct connection with the star systems. I think that eventually we'll have a lot of different beings from other worlds here. And they say that's going to happen soon. They keep talking about it. As you know, we're seeing more and more UFOs every week, right?
And more Sasquatch.
The Sasquatch play into that because one of the rules of engagement is the ETs don't want to come to Earth unless we can get along with the Sasquatch people, because the Sasquatch people represent spiritually advanced, non-human looking beings.
Yes.
If we can get along with them, then we're considered advanced enough so that all kinds of ETs can come here and set up businesses and healing centers and educational centers and all that kind of stuff, vacation spots, what do you call it, research and stuff. So they're part of the mix. The Sasquatch people are our test, the litmus test. If we're ready or not.
That's why they're here. God told them to become more public. They're becoming more public. They're
increasing their population. They put a real restriction on their population for a long time, but now that restriction is lifted. So you're going to see more babies, more families, more clans.
And I think people need to see that when they see that Sasquatch are very family oriented. They love their families. They love their children. And they show them, they teach them. They're kind to their families. They love their families. When they see how much love they have, how can't you connect with that? I mean.
Yeah. And you know what? When they call you family,
yes,
like they've called me and other people,
yes,
feel the same love and all that they show for their own family. It's remarkable, and it's they're so trustworthy and so honorable and so high, based on love or whatever, that it's just it's beyond words.
And when they call you friend or brother, that's forever. I mean, that's multiple lifetimes. I'm sure that most people are connected now with the Sasquatch, is because of Sasquatch in another lifetime or another, because they've been around here like that 700 whatever it is million lifetimes too, and they've made connections with many people, and they're just renewing the connections that we had a long time ago.
Yes.
We fought wars with the Sasquatch people at our side before.
Wow.
That's what the war in Lemuria was all about. We fought along the side with the Sasquatch people.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think we're going to see a big change over the next 20 years. And look at the children. They're already 2 months old saying, I love you. Hello. That blew my mind.
Did you actually see that on YouTube?
Yeah.
Can you send me that link? I've got to see that.
Yes.
That's just so
look it up.
beautiful.
I saved it. It was amazing. I mean, wow. He was so adorable. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it sounded really clear.
Yes, perfect.
Oh my God.
It was so perfect. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. His mom was in the background taking the picture, and his dad was holding the baby. It was amazing.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Wow. So that kind of speaks that they do come in with all the memories and
Yes.
stuff you're talking about.
He can talk it too. Months.
Yeah.
Not years, months.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
they're coming back with memories and things like that. I think Mary Rodwell talks about some children she talked to, that the guy, some child came in and he had full remembrance of being an ET in another life, and he says, "Oh, I was a light physicist. I work with the physics of light," and Mary Rodwell says, "We don't even know what that is here." He says, "I know the physics."
I know.
They don't even know what the physics of light is.
How old was this kid?
He was preteen, I think.
Wow.
It's just amazing. The change is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I have another friend. She is from another planet, and she goes back and forth. So I've heard stories from her, and honest to God, she has orbs in her backyard as big as her house.
Whoa.
Imagine
that. I'll send you some pictures.
Can
It's
you
mind-blowing.
tell us a little bit about her experiences? Like, she goes back and forth between worlds. Where is she from, and what's that
She's
experience
in
like?
Scotland.
No. I mean, where is she from? Like, what other world is she from?
I'll send you that in an email. I don't want to tell you her name or tell you the plant.
Yeah, don't need the name.
I'll send it to you in a message. Okay. I don't want to make it public.
No, okay, of course. I want okay. If you could have talked about it without disclosing her name and giving her away, that's fine. But if you feel that would compromise her, that's good.
There are people living on this planet. There are people living on this planet that can move anywhere in time and space, just like a UFO. There's people.
What I'll do, I'll connect you to her and maybe have her on the show. Let her tell her story.
Sure. And hook us up with Grant Cameron too, because
of course
we're not popular enough for him to
pay
attention to us.
I'd love to have Grant.
Never think
two Canadians who like to talk.
Never think you're not popular. He is a busy man. He just finished writing a book. Knowing him, he's writing another book already. He's got so many shows. He's got so many irons in the fire.
Yeah. Well, I was just, all respect to him. I was saying that tongue in cheek.
Yes.
I didn't really mean it.
Okay.
But we would like you. But it would be nice to hook up.
He even if you ask him, if it's not on his radar, because he's focused, right? Whatever he's doing in front of him, that's what he's doing. Doesn't mean that he just won't stop doing what he's doing. So he'll just say no, I'm not interested in that. Because I've talked to him a lot about Sasquatch stuff and try to send a message. But he did have, but because of that, he did have Coanilopiditis on his show one time.
Is he a Sasquatch person?
Yeah.
Coanilopiditis, yeah, he's one of the oldest. He's been doing it for like 60 years.
Wow.
He
How do you spell his name?
Oh,
LAS last PER, and I think ITIS, but that's close enough.
Okay.
what was the name of his book? His name of his book was the Sasquatch UFO Connection. Is that what? If that was the name of his book?
I got one of his books right here somewhere.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys who had Mind Speak from Sasquatch, and he went around talking. This is back in the 80s and 90s. So
yeah, I can't
Okay.
find the book right now, but anyway, Gene, did you have anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I was going to tell you that my friend, when she gets totally burned out, okay, now at night she feeds the foxes and the badgers, okay, that live in the woods behind her house. And so many of them come. And she took a video of the foxes and badgers, and you see these little orbs flying in. There's always orbs, but these ones were tiny. And then other times she'll have ones that are as big as her whole house. And I'm not kidding. I'll send you the videos of those because it'll blow your mind, or the photos of those.
Can you
And
just share, without giving too many details away, where is this lady from? Like what planet or what dimension or whatever?
I'll send it to you in the message. I don't have all the info right near me.
Okay.
Okay. And I just wanted to mention her. I think she'd be good on your show. And she
Yeah, I
will
mean, hey,
have
we're always looking
all
for
the
guests.
answers
She
that
knows-
you're
she knows a little
wanting
bit
to
about-
ask.
If she knows a little bit about Sasquatch, that would help. But
Well, we
what a-
can always do it
what a
on
great-
the.
what a
I'm going to
great,
start it.
guest Gene is. You were a treat. We learned so much and had so much fun today. Wow.
She'd be
Thank
good
you for
regardless,
showing
Bing,
up.
because I'm going to start a YouTube kind of thing where I'm just going to talk about, like just connection or whatever.
It's not about you. I'm talking about you, what a great guest we have today.
No, I'm saying that if we wanted to have guests that don't focus necessarily on Sasquatch, I'm going to start something on YouTube where I'm just going to be, because to me, it's all connected anyway. So
Okay.
we could have her on that.
Yeah. There's no way she's going to be on planet Earth and be as involved as she is and not know about Sasquatch.
Right. Right.
So
A lot of Sasquatch travel in orbs.
They do.
You know
Absolutely.
that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've seen what I assume was a Sasquatch, and I feel it was a Sasquatch. I felt it was a Sasquatch. And it was a bunch of orbs that came in from different points of consciousness and formed into one entity.
Wow.
And you could see the you could see the face and everything on it. I'll send you those pictures. But yeah, so
Wow.
yeah.
And it was a Sasquatch.
Well, do you know Sunbow, True Brother? Jean Letier?
Yeah,
He told
okay.
me, he told my wife and I to go to this certain area because he had an encounter with a Sasquatch there. It was not like a physical thing. It was like downloads information, that kind of stuff that we get.
Right.
And he said, go there. And we did. And we just started taking pictures thinking maybe we'll see some orbs. And of course, when you think stuff like that, quite often it's thought placements because they have something to show you. So they'll put a thought in your head and then they'll show you. So we started taking pictures and the orb started coming in slowly, a bunch, and then like I said, you could see them form into one entity. And
Wow.
my lesson there was, wow, this omnipotent being is coming in from all different points of consciousness and forming into one.
You know, he's pulling himself together.
Yeah.
Because they're multi-dimensional, they can spread around.
Well, that was just showing me that in like, powerful lessons, that we get.
A lot of times, a lot of times they do that stuff just to show you what they can do, and that is a teaching. Here's what we can do.
Yeah.
Here's what we can do, and we can mind speak, or we can do this, and it's just, and they do it in a very natural way, and you have to go, wow, or you have to make sense of it in your head.
Right.
Oh my God, they just disappeared. Or, oh my God, they're in my room right now and they're invisible.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to put it together.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a teaching. They teach that by example.
No question about it. That was a big time.
Like when your Sasquatch was going from one side of the field to another side of the field, that was a teaching for you, and you kind of pretty much got it. And other people might have gone over their head. What is that? But you got it. They're interdimensional beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody there got it, but some of them took to running away.
They ran away.
When you said you had that group of 75 people, half of them ran away.
I know, half of them left.
Yeah.
They were afraid.
Yeah, well, they weren't ready to accept it or so.
It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, did you want to wrap up, Jean?
Well, thank you guys for inviting me on here. I've enjoyed it.
Actually, leave us with some closing words or a message, or what the message of is it Saint Germain? What is your message to the people out there, basically, or what are you hearing?
Well, Saint Germain to me is just such a special being and a very interesting person. I know that he wants world peace, for people to come together to love each other. And I think, as we were speaking today, just accept the Sasquatch as your brothers. I mean, God made the Sasquatch. And to me, that's so special, because if God made it, why are you trying to destroy it? Why can't you just understand that Sasquatch deserves to be here as much as we are? God made all of us. Why can't we start working together and become a huge family? Wouldn't that be amazing? Just to know that we're all connected. We're all from one being. God made us all. We're all part of the one.
Yeah.
And I think that would be his message.
Yeah.
We are part of the one.
Yeah. I know when I had my Love Zap, I mean,
that's a good place to leave it.
One of the things is that you cannot, you can, humans are so egotistical that they always put themselves above everything else. That's not true. We're all connected. We're all part of the same thing. No one's above anybody.
Yes.
And when we realize that, there's going to be a lot of healing going on.
Right. And pray for peace and tranquility throughout the world. Hold that thought every day. Hold that thought. Meditate on that thought. And the more we do this, the more it will spread, because we're spreading the thought. It goes out on the brain waves. It goes out on the airwaves. People can pick it up in their waking hours, in their sleeping hours. It is spreading around. I think there's been a huge shift, and I feel different things, especially in the last month. a lot is happening. It's pretty amazing. Part of it is the trajectory. And tonight, I wanted to mention tomorrow morning, before 45 minutes before the sun comes up, the planets are in alignment. Okay. So the planets are Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the crescent moon, Venus, Mercury, and Mercury. 45 minutes before sunrise tomorrow. So if you have a chance, look outside to the southwest, and you'll see it, or southeast.
So I remember one thing that came to mind when you were mentioning Saint Germain. You said he was George Washington in one incarnation. I wonder what he thinks of the people today trying to destroy the nation that he was.
Oh, I bet he was just horrified. Are you kidding? That was horrifying.
Because make no mistake, politics is a broken, archaic system. But I'll tell you what, these people who are running the show these days, not only in your country, other places, they're not. They don't support democracy and whatever. They support tyranny and breaking all that down.
Right.
So,
and it isn't. It's the east and southeast. 45 minutes before sunrise.
excellent.
Tomorrow. Okay. Sorry.
Well, should we wrap it up, or do you want to?
Bye, everybody. Bye, Facebook land.
Well, hang on a minute. I got to do my. Well, thank you, Gene, for coming. This has been one of the most interesting shows we've ever had. With all due respect to everybody else, this has been an amazing one.
Big fun.
Well,
big fun.
It's been a great.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I cried a few times, but
hey, I did too. I think
that was precious. I'm so glad I got.
I even started crying when I talked about
to see genuine crying on talking about Sasquatch. That's precious.
Every time I talk about somebody hurting one of my family, I start crying.
yeah, it's painful.
So on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines, this has been the Pork and Beans Show, and thank you so much to our guest, Gene Kimura. We really loved having you, and we'll have you back again.
Okay.
As a guest on your own, or maybe on a panel or something. But we really loved having you, and I'm sure that everyone who listens to this is going to get a lot out of it. A lot of information, a lot of love, and a lot of hope in this show.
Hope. Yeah. And meditate. Pray for love, peace, healing.
Yeah. And
the more people that do that, the better off the world will be.
And don't forget, people, it's always darkest before the dawn. So
yes,
the dawn
it is.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Love all of you.
Love you. Bye.
I love you slow. Don't you know? I want my own blade. All the buttons coming down. Taking my phone. Hot and high. Hot and high. Hot and high. For the tummy, oh my. Love a big old plate of pork and beans. Goody. Love it. In the tummy. Love baby. Love high. Love ooh. Love why. I love me some pork and wings. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some pork and beans. Pork and beans. I'm gonna holler pork and beans. Yo, mashed potato. Oh, have it now, don't wait for later. Hot and high. I love you so. play the